The gunshot echoed through the narrow Soul alley before Anita even registered the pain. Her shoulder exploded in white-hot agony as she stumbled forward, her hand instinctively clutching her swollen belly. 6 months pregnant and running for her life. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. "Stop running, Mrs. Minute." The voice behind her was cold, mechanical. Jae-sung. Of course Minute Hyuk had sent his best hunter. Anita's feet slapped against the wet pavement as rain poured down in sheets, mixing with the blood streaming down her arm. Her vision blurred. The baby kicked hard, as if protesting the chaos its mother had dragged it into. She crashed against a dumpster, gasping, her lungs burning. "Please," she whispered to no one. "Please, just let me go." But she knew better. She'd known better 3 months ago when she'd stolen away in the middle of the night. You don't run from Minute Hyuk. You don't take his child and disappear into the wind. Not unless you want to learn exactly how far a man will go when you take the only thing he's ever loved. Before we continue, I would like you to click on this video, hit the subscribe button, and tell me in the comments where you are watching from. Your support helps this channel grow and keep stories like this coming to you. Now, let us continue. The alley dead-ended. Of course it did. Anita turned, pressing her back against the brick wall, watching Jae-sung's silhouette approach through the rain. Behind him, the black Mercedes idled, its headlights cutting through the darkness like judging eyes. And then Minute Hyuk stepped out of the car. Even from 50 feet away, Anita could feel the fury radiating off him. He didn't run. Didn't rush. Just walked with that terrifying calm he always had before he destroyed someone. His black suit was immaculate despite the rain, his dark hair pushed back from a face that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so lethal. Anita. Her name on his lips sounded like a death sentence and a prayer all at once. She slid down the wall, cradling her belly with one hand while the other pressed against her bleeding shoulder. "Stay back. Just, stay back, Hyuk." He stopped 10 feet away. In the harsh glare of the headlights, she could finally see his face clearly. He looked like he hadn't slept in months. Dark circles under eyes that used to be sharp and calculating but now just looked broken. "You took my child," he said quietly. Too quietly. "You took yourself. Do you have any idea what these 3 months have been like? Do you have any idea what it's like being your prisoner?" Anita shot back, even as tears mixed with rain on her face. "Being your trophy? Your breeding mare?" Something flickered across his expression. Pain, maybe. Or anger. With Minute Hyuk, it was always hard to tell. "Is that what you think you were to me? What else would I think?" Her voice cracked. "You forced me to marry you. Threatened my family. Made me sign my life away because I saved your life, and in your twisted world, that meant you owned me. I never." He took a step forward and she flinched. He froze immediately, hands raising slowly. "I never touched you. Not once. Not until that night," Anita finished bitterly. "Until you came to my room drunk and broken and I was stupid enough to comfort you." "You weren't stupid." His voice dropped to barely a whisper. "That night was the only real thing I've felt in 10 years. And you ran away because of it." "I ran away because I heard you." Anita's hand tightened on her belly. "I heard you talking to Jae-sung about heirs and succession and securing your power with a legitimate child. You planned this. You planned everything." Minute Hyuk's face went very still. "What are you talking about? Don't play games with me anymore. I'm done being your pawn." He turned sharply to Jae-sung, who stood awkwardly by the car. "Give us privacy. Now. Boss, you're bleeding. Now." Jae-sung retreated to the car. Minute Hyuk turned back to Anita, and for the first time since she'd known him, he looked genuinely confused. "Anita, I don't know what you heard, but 3 weeks after our wedding," she interrupted. "You and Jae-sung in your office. You said you needed a legitimate heir to secure your position against the Park family. That a child would make the other families think twice about moving against you. I was standing right outside the door." Understanding dawned on his face, followed immediately by something that looked like horror. "That conversation was about my cousin. Minute G. She'd just gotten engaged and I was advising her husband-to-be about the politics of our world. Anita, I never wanted to trap you with a pregnancy." She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly it physically hurt. But she'd learned not to trust anything in Minute Huke's world. Suminit said. Suminit. He said the name like a curse. Let me guess. She told you I was using you? That I only married you to produce an heir? That I'm incapable of actual feeling? Anita's silence was answer enough. Minute Huke laughed, but there was no humor in it. Just exhaustion and bitter resignation. Suminit was my brother's fiancé. Did she tell you that? My brother who died because someone betrayed his location to the Park family 3 years ago? She said she was trying to protect me. She's been working with the Park family since my brother's death, Minute Huke interrupted. Feeding them information. Trying to destabilize my organization from the inside. Getting you to run? That was her masterstroke. Because she knew exactly what it would do to me. Anita's head spun. The rain was getting heavier, or maybe she was just getting weaker. Her shoulder throbbed viciously. Why should I believe you? Because I'm going to prove it to you. Minute Huke reached slowly into his jacket. Anita tensed, but he just pulled out his phone, tapping the screen before holding it out to her. This is the recording from the security system in my office. The conversation you overheard. Listen to the whole thing. She didn't take the phone. Huke. Please. That single word from him was more devastating than any threat. Please, Anita. Just listen. With her good hand, she took the phone. Pressed play. And listened. The recording was exactly as she remembered at first. Minute Huke's voice, measured and cold, talking about heirs and succession and political maneuvering. But then it continued past where she'd stopped listening. Which is why I'm advising you to wait on having children, Minute G. This world will eat them alive if you're not careful. Look at what happened to my own marriage. A younger woman's voice responded. Your wife seems lovely, Oppa. And you look at her like she's the only good thing I've ever had. Minute Huke's recorded voice was so raw it made Anita's breath catch. Because she is. And I ruined it by dragging her into this life. I look at her and I see everything I could have been if I hadn't been born into blood and violence. She deserves better than me. Better than this. Then why did you marry her? A long pause. Then, because I'm a selfish bastard who saw something pure and couldn't help but corrupt it. I told myself it was about the debt, about her visa, about giving her protection. But the truth. I wanted her. I wanted her so badly I would have used any excuse to keep her close. And now she's trapped with me, and every day I see her looking at me like I'm the monster she has to endure rather than someone she chose. The recording ended. Anita stared at the phone in her shaking hand. You never told me any of this. How could I? Minute Huke's voice was hoarse. You already looked at me like I was a devil. Why would I burden you with the knowledge that the devil was pathetically in love with you? The word love hung between them like something fragile and dangerous. That night, Anita whispered. When you came to my room, you were crying. My brother's death anniversary. He looked away, jaw tight. I got drunk. Thought I could forget. But all I could think about was that he died alone, and I was going to die alone too, and the only warmth in my entire miserable existence was sleeping 3 doors down, trapped in a marriage she never wanted. I should have stayed away. I should have. I wanted you there, Anita admitted. The words escaped before she could stop them. I heard you in the hallway, pacing outside my door for an hour before you finally knocked. And when you came in, so broken and human and nothing like the cold mafia boss everyone fears. I wanted to comfort you. I wanted more than comfort. His eyes snapped to hers. In the harsh light, she could see every emotion playing across his face. Hope. Disbelief. Desperate, terrifying hope. You wanted me. I hated that I wanted you, she corrected. You were my captor. My jailer. But you were also the man who noticed I like my coffee with too much sugar. Who had Nigerian spices imported because you saw me looking sad at dinner. Who sat up all night researching traditional African wedding ceremonies because you felt guilty we'd only had a courthouse marriage. You were both the cage and the only thing that made the cage bearable. Minute Huke moved closer, slowly, like she was a wild animal that might bolt. Then why did you run? Because wanting you felt like Stockholm Syndrome, Anita said. The rain had plastered her clothes to her body and she was starting to shiver violently. Because getting pregnant terrified me. Because I heard that conversation and convinced myself it confirmed everything I feared, that I was just a pawn in your world, and I couldn't. I couldn't bring a baby into that. I couldn't let my child grow up watching their father hurt people, knowing their mother was too weak to leave. You're not weak. He was close enough now that she could see the vein pulsing in his neck. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You survived medical school with no family support. You volunteered in war zones. You saved my life when my own men had given up. And you ran from me successfully for 3 months. Do you know how rare that is? No one runs from me, Anita. No one. You found me. Of course I found you. His voice turned rough. You're carrying my child. You're my wife. You're the only thing in this world that makes me want to be better than what I am. Anita's shoulder was bleeding more heavily now. She felt lightheaded. Hugh, you're hurt. All the emotion dropped from his face, replaced instantly by lethal focus. Jae-sung shot you. He shot my pregnant wife. You told him to stop me. I told him to find you, not hurt you. Minute Hugh spun toward the car, voice sharp enough to cut glass. Jae-sung, get out here. Now. The car door opened. Jae-sung emerged looking confused. Boss. You shot her. Jae-sung glanced at Anita's shoulder, and something flickered across his face. Not guilt. Satisfaction. She was running. You said to stop her by any means. I said find her. Not shoot her. Not hurt her. Not put my child at risk. Minute Hugh's hand moved to his waistband, pulling out a gun with practiced ease. How long have you been working with the Park family? The alley went dead silent except for the rain. Jae-sung's expression hardened. I don't know what you're talking about. How long has Suminit been paying you to feed her information? To make sure Anita heard that conversation about heirs? To encourage her paranoia? To make sure that when she ran, she'd do it in a way that would destroy me? Minute Hugh's voice was terrifyingly calm. Did the Park family promise you my position? Or just enough money to disappear? You've gone soft, Jae-sung spat. Ever since that woman showed up, you've been weak. The old you would have killed her family as an example. But no, you fell in love with her like some pathetic. The gunshot was deafening. Jae-sung crumpled to the wet pavement, clutching his leg, screaming. Minute Hugh had shot him in the kneecap with the same casual efficiency most people use to swat a fly. I'll kill anyone who touches you, Minute Hugh said quietly, looking at Anita while keeping the gun trained on his former lieutenant. Starting with me if necessary. Anita's knees buckled. The world tilted sideways and suddenly Minute Hugh was there, catching her before she hit the ground. His arms wrapped around her with a gentleness that seemed impossible from a man who just kneecapped someone without blinking. I've got you, he murmured against her hair. I've got you, Anita. You're safe now. The baby, she gasped. Hugh, the baby, is fine. You're both going to be fine. He was already lifting her, cradling her against his chest like she weighed nothing. His suit jacket was soaked through but he didn't seem to notice. Stay with me, okay? Keep your eyes open. Behind them, Jae-sung was still writhing on the ground, cursing through his pain. Minute Hugh didn't spare him another glance as he carried Anita to the Mercedes. The driver had already opened the back door, face carefully neutral despite the chaos. Hospital, Minute Hugh ordered as he slid into the back seat with Anita still in his arms. The private facility on Gangnam. Call Dr. Park and tell him if anything happens to my wife or child, I'll burn his entire family to ash. The car peeled away from the alley. Through the rear window, Anita could see Jae-sung trying to drag himself toward the street. She should feel something about that. Horror, maybe. Pity. But all she felt was cold and tired and terrified for the life inside her. Look at me. Minute Hugh's hand cupped her face, forcing her eyes to his. Stay awake, Anita. Talk to me. Tell me about Lagos. Tell me about your family. Tell me anything. My shoulder hurts, she whispered. I know it does. His thumb stroked her cheek with devastating tenderness. We're 5 minutes away. Dr. Park is the best trauma surgeon in Seoul. He's going to take care of you. You threatened to burn his family. I threaten everyone. It's how I show affection. The joke fell flat. His jaw was tight, a muscle ticking as he pressed his hand against her shoulder wound, trying to slow the bleeding. This is my fault. All of it. I should have told you the truth from the beginning instead of playing the cold, untouchable boss. I should have. You should have let me go, Anita said. Her vision was getting hazy around the edges. That first night. You should have paid off my family's debt and let me disappear. You'd be better off. I'd be dead. His voice cracked. Maybe not physically, but in every way that matters. Before you, I was just existing. Going through the motions. Violence and strategy and empty victories. You made me remember what it felt like to want something beyond power. To want. God, Anita, I just wanted you to look at me like I was human. I did look at you like that, she admitted. The words were getting harder to form. That night. When you came to my room. I saw you, Hugh. The real you. That's what scared me most. His arms tightened around her. Why? Because I wanted to keep him. A single tear slipped down her cheek. I wanted to keep the broken man who cried on my shoulder and told me about his brother and fell asleep holding my hand like I was something precious. But I knew he'd disappear by morning. The monster would come back. And I'd have to live with the knowledge that I'd fallen in love with someone who could never really be mine. The car jerked to a stop. Minute Hugh went very still. Say that again. We're here, sir, the driver announced. Say it again, Anita. Minute Hugh's voice was desperate. What did you just say? But the doors were already opening. Medical staff in scrubs surrounded the car, pulling Anita from his arms onto a gurney. She tried to hold on to him but her fingers wouldn't cooperate. Everything was moving too fast and too slow simultaneously. The baby, she heard herself saying. Please, someone check the baby. We've got you, Mrs. Minute, a woman's voice soothed. Try to stay calm. Your blood pressure is through the roof and we need you to breathe for us. Minute Hugh was trying to follow but someone stopped him. Sir, you can't come into the surgical bay. That's my wife. That's my child. And we're going to take excellent care of them both, but you need to let us work. Dr. Park, an older man with kind eyes and steady hands, placed himself between Minute Hugh and the gurney. Minute Hugh. You called me because you trust me. So trust me now. Let me save them. For a moment, Anita thought Minute Hugh might shoot Dr. Park too. His hand moved toward his waistband, face a mask of barely controlled panic. But then he caught Anita's eyes across the chaos. I'll be right here, he called out. I'm not going anywhere. You hear me, Anita? I'll be here when you wake up. I'll always be here. Then the surgical doors swung shut and he was gone. The overhead lights blurred into streaks. Voices called out numbers and medical jargon she only half understood despite her own training. Hands peeled away her blood-soaked clothes. The cold kiss of an 4-needle slid into her arm. Fetal heart rate, someone asked. Strong and steady. Baby's a fighter. Like its mother, Anita whispered. Then the anesthesia pulled her under and there was nothing but darkness. She woke to the sound of rain against windows and the steady beep of a heart monitor. Her shoulder was wrapped tight, throbbing with a dull ache that meant strong painkillers. But she was alive. And when she moved her hand to her belly, she felt the reassuring swell still there. Thank God, she breathed. He's been thanked approximately 47 times in the last 6 hours. Anita's head snapped toward the voice. Minute Hugh sat in a chair pulled close to her bedside, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. He looked like he'd aged a decade. His suit was still damp and stained with her blood. His hair was disheveled. And when he lifted his head, his eyes were red-rimmed. You've been crying, she said stupidly. You flatlined during surgery. His voice was hollow. For 18 seconds. Dr. Park said it was just a reaction to the anesthesia, that it happens sometimes, that you were never really in danger. But for 18 seconds, you were gone. And I understood, finally, what my brother must have felt in his last moments. That absolute terror of losing everything that matters. Anita's throat tightened. Hugh. The baby's fine, he continued, as if he needed to get all the words out before he lost the courage. Perfectly healthy. Strong heartbeat. Dr. Park said you were incredibly lucky. The bullet missed anything vital. You'll need physical therapy for your shoulder but you'll make a full recovery. Both of you will. That's good. She didn't know what else to say. The emotional whiplash of the last 12 hours had left her feeling unmoored. Minute Hugh stood abruptly and walked to the window, staring out at the Seoul skyline. I've made arrangements for you to return to Lagos. A private jet, security to ensure you get there safely, and enough money to set you up for life. Your family's debt is cleared. Your visa issues are resolved. You'll never have to see me again. The words hit her like a physical blow. What? You were right to run. He didn't turn around. You were right about everything. I'm poison, Anita. I destroy everything I touch. Look what happened tonight. You got shot because of me. You almost died because I was too selfish to let you go 3 months ago. So I'm letting you go now. You and the baby. You're free. Free, Anita repeated numbly. There will be paperwork. Divorce papers, custody agreements, financial arrangements. My lawyers will handle everything. You won't have to communicate with me directly. I'll stay away. The child will know who their father is, if you want to tell them, but I won't interfere with how you raise them. They'll be better off without my influence anyway. Anita pushed herself up despite the pain in her shoulder, ignoring the way the four tugged at her arm. Look at me. He didn't move. Minute Hugh. Look at me. Slowly, he turned. The expression on his face was carefully blank, but she'd learned to read the micro-expressions he tried to hide. The tightness around his eyes. The way his hands were clenched into fists at his sides. The rigid set of his shoulders. You're lying, she said. I'm giving you what you want. You're running, she interrupted. You're doing exactly what I did. You're scared so you're running away and calling it a noble sacrifice. His jaw clenched. I'm protecting you. From what? From whom? Anita swung her legs over the side of the bed, ignoring the dizziness. Jae-sung is neutralized. Suminit's treachery is exposed. You said you'd prove the truth to me and you did. So what are you protecting me from now? Myself. The word exploded out of him. I'm protecting you from me, Anita. From what I am. What I'll always be. You said it yourself. You can't bring a child into my world. You can't tie yourself to someone like me. I said a lot of things when I was terrified and confused and being manipulated by people I thought I could trust. She stood on shaky legs, gripping the four-pole for support. I also said I wanted you. That I'd fallen in love with you. Or did you conveniently forget that part? You were in shock. Blood loss. You didn't mean. Don't. She took a step toward him and he actually backed away. Don't you dare tell me what I meant. Don't you dare dismiss my feelings because they're inconvenient for your self-flagellation. You deserve better. Maybe. She took another step. He backed into the window. But I don't want to get better. I want you. The real you. Not the monster you think you are. Not the perfect man I wish you were. Just, you. Complicated and violent and damaged and somehow still capable of the kind of love that tears you apart from the inside. Anita. You dismantled your empire for me, she continued relentlessly. You told me that night before Jae-sung shot me. That you'd been making peace with rival families, transferring power, ending the war. Was that true or just another lie to get me to come back? He looked away. It was true. Why? Because you were right. I couldn't ask you to raise a child in that world. So I'm getting out. Slowly. Carefully. Making sure the transition doesn't spark a war. But I'm getting out. For me. For you. For the baby. For the possibility that maybe, somehow, I could be the kind of man who deserves you. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. But tonight proved I'll never be that man. People around me get hurt. People I love end up in danger. How can I ask you to stay when staying might kill you? Anita reached him finally, placing her hand on his chest. His heart was racing. Life might kill me, Hugh. A car accident might kill me. Cancer might kill me. Random chance might kill me. But at least with you, I'd die knowing I was loved. Really, truly loved. Do you have any idea how rare that is? His hand came up to cover hers. You could have that with someone else. Someone safe. Someone who doesn't have a trail of bodies behind him. I don't want someone else. She pressed closer, tilting her head back to meet his eyes. I want the man who had Nigerian spices imported. Who researched traditional wedding ceremonies. Who paced outside my door for an hour before finally asking for comfort. Who cried when he thought he'd lost me? Who's standing here right now trying to push me away because he loves me too much to see me hurt? That's who I want. That's who I choose. You're choosing wrong, he said hoarsely. Then I'll choose wrong. She rose on her tiptoes, wincing as the movement pulled at her shoulder. I'm a grown woman, Hugh. I'm a doctor. I've seen death and violence and the worst of humanity. And I'm telling you, with full knowledge and understanding, that I choose you. Not the Mafia Boss. Not the Empire. Just you. The man. If you're getting out, then we'll get out together. If you're building a new life, we'll build it together. But don't you dare make this decision for me. His resistance was crumbling. She could see it in the way his breathing had gone ragged, the way his free hand had come up to cup her face with heartbreaking gentleness. I'll fail you, he whispered. I'll disappoint you. I'll make mistakes. Good. That means you're human. She smiled through sudden tears. I'll fail you too. I'll probably run again at some point because I'm stubborn and scared. I'll make mistakes. I'll disappoint you. But maybe we can fail together. Maybe we can be messy and complicated and human together. Isn't that better than being perfectly alone? For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then, finally, he broke. Hugh's arms wrapped around her with desperate strength, pulling her against his chest like he was trying to merge their bodies into one. His face buried in her hair and she felt the shudder that ran through him, the way his shoulders shook with suppressed sobs. I love you, he choked out. God, Anita, I love you so much it terrifies me. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be what you need. You don't have to know. She held him just as tightly, ignoring the pain in her shoulder. We'll figure it out as we go. Together. That's what together means. They stood like that for a long time, wrapped in each other while rain continued to fall outside and machines beeped steadily around them. Two broken people holding each other's pieces, trying to figure out how to make a whole. Finally, Hugh pulled back just enough to look at her. There are conditions. If we're doing this, if we're really doing this, then you need to know what you're getting into. Okay. Anita nodded. Tell me. I'm not fully out yet. It'll take another 6 months, maybe a year, to completely extract myself from the organization without causing a bloodbath. During that time, there will still be danger. Still be threats. I understand. We'll need security. Constant security. I won't take risks with you or the baby. Reasonable. I'll probably have nightmares. PTSD from years of violence. I'll wake up sometimes not knowing where I am, who I am. I might hurt you accidentally. Then we'll get you therapy. She cupped his face with both hands. Hugh, I'm not afraid of your trauma. I'm a doctor, remember? I understand that healing isn't linear. That recovery takes time. I'm in this for the long haul, not just the easy parts. He closed his eyes, leaning into her touch. What did I do to deserve you? You bled out on a table and I was stubborn enough to save you. She smiled. Plus, you have great taste in coffee additions. Too much sugar is the correct amount of sugar. That startled a laugh out of him. Rough and rusty, like he'd forgotten how. I'll remember that. There's one more thing, Anita said, suddenly serious. His eyes opened, wary. What? That line you said. About killing anyone who touches me, starting with yourself. You can't say things like that, Hugh. Why not? Because I need you alive. Her voice went fierce. I need you here, present, healing, growing. I need you to be the father our child deserves. So no more self-destructive martyrdom. No more deciding you're too damaged to be loved. You're mine now. And I protect what's mine just as viciously as you do. Understand? The look he gave her was pure wonder. You're terrifying when you're protective. Good. Then we're well matched. She kissed him then, soft and careful and full of promise. Now take me home. Which home? He asked against her lips. The penthouse. Lagos. We can go anywhere you want. Start fresh anywhere. Anita thought about it. The penthouse had been her prison, but it had also been where she'd first seen glimpses of the real Hugh. Where they'd shared quiet meals and careful conversations. Where he'd held her through the night after their one moment of vulnerability. The penthouse, she decided. But we redecorate. Make it ours, not just yours. And eventually, when the baby comes and you're fully out of the organization, we find something smaller. A real home. With a garden maybe. Normal and boring and safe. Normal and boring sounds perfect, Minute Hugh murmured. Then he smiled, and it transformed his entire face. Though with you, I doubt anything will ever be truly boring. Damn right. She kissed him again, deeper this time. Now help me back to bed before Dr. Park has both our heads for letting me stand this long. He lifted her gently, settling her back against the pillows with a care that made her heart ache. As he adjusted her blankets and checked her for, she watched him with new eyes. This was her future. This complicated, damaged, beautiful man trying so hard to be gentle. Hugh. Chem. I meant what I said. In the alley. I love you. His hand stilled on the blanket. When he looked at her, his eyes were bright. Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you, Minute Hugh. She pulled him down until their foreheads touched. I love you in ways that terrify me. I love you enough to stay. To fight. To build something real with you. So please, please stop trying to push me away. Never again, he promised. Never again, Anita. You're stuck with me now. Good. She yawned suddenly, the painkillers pulling her towards sleep. Because I have plans for you. So many plans. Starting with teaching you how to cook properly. Your attempt at jollof rice was an insult to my ancestors. He laughed, real and genuine. I'll take cooking lessons. Whatever you want. And therapy. For both of us. Done. And you're reading all the pregnancy books. Every single one. If I have to be pregnant, you're suffering through the literature with me. I'd be honored. He pressed a kiss to her forehead. Sleep now. I'll be here when you wake up. Promise. Promise. I told you in the alley, Anita. I'll always be here. She believed him. Against all logic and reason, she believed him. And as sleep pulled her under, she felt his hand covering hers on her belly, protecting them both. Outside, the rain finally stopped. The first hints of dawn painted the Seoul skyline in shades of gold and pink. A new day. A new beginning. Together. Anita woke to the smell of something burning and the sound of creative cursing in Korean. She smiled before she even opened her eyes. 3 days in the hospital, Minute Hugh had been a constant presence, sleeping in the uncomfortable chair beside her bed, arguing with doctors about her care, and apparently now attempting to cook. If you burn down the hospital kitchen, Dr. Park will actually kill you this time, she called out. The cursing stopped. Minute Hugh appeared in the doorway of her private room holding a tray with what looked like scrambled eggs and toast. The eggs were slightly brown and the toast was definitely black around the edges, but the look of determined pride on his face made her chest tight. I made breakfast, he announced. I can see that. Anita pushed herself up carefully, her shoulder much better now but still sore. Is it edible? Probably not. But I tried. He set the tray on the table and wheeled it over to her bed. The nurses took pity on me and helped. Apparently I don't know the difference between medium heat and nuclear fusion. She picked up the fork and took a bite of eggs. They were oversalted and somehow both runny and overcooked at the same time. They were perfect. Delicious. You're a terrible liar. But he was smiling as he sat on the edge of her bed. Dr. Park says you can go home today. If you still want to. I want to. She reached for his hand. Stop asking me if I'm sure, Hugh. I'm sure. I've been sure since that night in the alley. I know. I just keep waiting for you to realize you've made a terrible mistake and run screaming. His thumb traced circles on her palm. 3 days and you haven't run yet. It's a new record. 3 days where you've been annoyingly perfect, she countered. Bringing me food, reading pregnancy books out loud, arguing with nurses who tried to take my blood at 3 a.m. You're making it very hard for me to maintain my belief that you're some kind of monster. Give it time. I'll disappoint you eventually. Looking forward to it. She squeezed his hand. Real relationships require real flaws, remember? I don't want to be perfect. I want to be human. A knock on the door interrupted them. Dr. Park entered, followed by a younger woman in professional attire carrying a tablet. Minute Hugh's entire body went tense, his hand moving instinctively toward his waistband before he caught himself. Relax, Dr. Park said mildly. This is Dr. Choi from our psychiatric department. She's here to discuss the therapy we talked about. Minute Hugh's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Anita had made therapy a non-negotiable condition of their reconciliation, and to his credit, he'd agreed immediately. Dr. Choi smiled warmly at both of them. I understand you've both been through significant trauma recently. Individual and couples therapy would be beneficial as you navigate this transition. What kind of timeline are we looking at? Anita asked. That depends on you. I'd recommend twice-weekly sessions initially, then we can adjust based on progress. Dr. Choi pulled up a calendar on her tablet. I have availability starting next week. We'll take it, Minute Hugh said before Anita could respond. Whatever she needs. Whatever we need. Dr. Choi's smile widened. Excellent. I'll have my office send over the intake paperwork. Now, Dr. Park wanted me to also discuss some coping strategies for the immediate future, particularly regarding hypervigilance and trauma responses. For the next 30 minutes, they talked through breathing exercises, grounding techniques, and ways to communicate when one of them was triggered. Minute Hugh listened with intense focus, asking questions and taking mental notes. Anita watched him absorb the information like he was preparing for battle, which she supposed he was. Just a different kind. When Dr. Choi finally left, Minute Hugh stood and walked to the window, shoulders tight with tension. You okay? Anita asked. I spent 15 years learning how to hurt people efficiently, he said quietly. And now I'm learning breathing exercises. It feels absurd. It feels like growth. She patted the bed beside her. Come here. He obeyed, settling next to her with careful movements. She leaned against his side, fitting herself into the space under his arm that seemed made for her. You know what I realized, she said. What? You've been protecting people your whole life. Your brother, your organization, your family's legacy. You just did it with violence because that's what you were taught. But protection can look different. It can look like therapy and breathing exercises and learning to cook without burning down kitchens. His arm tightened around her. You make it sound noble. It wasn't. I hurt people, Anita. A lot of people. I know. I'm not excusing that. But I'm also not defining you solely by your worst moments. She tilted her head to look at him. You get to decide who you become from here. That's what getting out means. Choosing differently. What if I can't? Then we'll figure it out together. But I think you can. I think you're stronger than you give yourself credit for. She placed his hand on her belly. This little one is going to need you to be strong. Not a strong mafia boss. Dad is strong. There's a difference. His hand spread wide across her stomach, protective and possessive. I don't know how to be a father. Good thing you have 7 months to learn. She covered his hand with hers. Plus, I have it on good authority that there are books about that too. He laughed despite himself. More reading. Great. So much reading. Your suffering has only begun. She kissed his jaw. But first, let's get out of this hospital. I want to go home. Home, he repeated, like he was testing the word. Our home. Our home, she confirmed. Where you're going to let me redecorate and probably argue with all my choices but ultimately cave because you're secretly a pushover when it comes to me. Secretly? He raised an eyebrow. There's nothing secret about it. I'm pathetically transparent. Good. I like you pathetic and transparent. She kissed him properly then, slow and deep and full of promise. When they broke apart, she smiled against his lips. Now help me get dressed so we can leave before Dr. Park finds another reason to keep me here. Getting discharged took another 2 hours of paperwork, instructions, and Dr. Park's stern warnings about follow-up appointments. Minute Hugh listened to everything with the same intense focus he'd given Dr. Choi, asking questions about infection risks and physical therapy and prenatal care. You're taking better notes than most medical students, Dr. Park observed. Her life depends on me getting this right, Minute Hugh replied simply. Finally, they were in the Mercedes heading back to the penthouse. Anita watched Seoul pass by through tinted windows, processing everything that had changed in less than a week. She'd gone from running for her life to sitting in luxury comfort with Minute Hugh's hand clasped firmly in hers. What are you thinking? He asked. That this feels surreal. A week ago I was hiding in a hostel in Accra, convinced you were the villain of my story. Now I'm voluntarily going back to your penthouse. Our penthouse. It's a lot. We can still leave Seoul, he offered. Start somewhere fresh. Lagos, London, New York. Anywhere you want. Anita considered it. Part of her wanted that escape, that clean slate. But running hadn't worked before. And she was tired of running. No, she decided. We stay. We face this head on. You finish extracting yourself from the organization properly, we build our life here, and then maybe in a year or two we think about relocating. But we don't run. Not anymore. Pride flickered across his face. You're sure? I'm sure. Besides, Dr. Park is here. And I trust him with the pregnancy. Continuity of care matters. She squeezed his hand. Plus, I want to be here when you finally tell the other families you're retiring. That conversation should be entertaining. He groaned. It's going to be a nightmare. Half of them will think I'm weak. The other half will try to take advantage of the power vacuum. Then we make sure the transition is airtight. You said you've been working on it for 3 months already. What's the current status? For the rest of the drive, Minute Hugh outlined his exit strategy. He'd been systematically transferring territory to trusted allies, setting up legitimate businesses to funnel money away from criminal enterprises, and establishing clear succession plans that wouldn't spark wars. The hardest part is the Park family, he admitted. They've been our biggest rivals for years. Making peace with them requires giving up significant territory, but it's necessary for long-term stability. And they're the ones Suminit and Jae-sung were working with. His expression darkened. Yes. Which complicates things. They might not know their moles were compromised yet. I need to handle that carefully. What happened to Jae-sung? Anita asked. She hadn't wanted to know before, but if this was her life now, she needed to understand all of it. Hospital. Under guard. He'll survive the kneecap, but he'll never walk properly again. Minute Hugh's voice was emotionless. Once he recovers enough, he'll stand trial within the organization. The sentence for betrayal is death. Anita's stomach clenched. Hugh. I know. He squeezed her hand. I know you don't want me executing people. And I won't. That's part of getting out. I'm turning him over to the council to decide. Removing myself from that level of violence. What will they decide? Probably exile. Jae-sung has family in the organization, people who'll argue for mercy. He'll lose everything, his status, his wealth, his position, but he'll live. It's the best I can offer. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Progress, not perfection. Anita nodded slowly. And Suminit? Gone. Disappeared the night you were shot. Probably realized her plan failed and ran before I could get to her. His jaw clenched. I have people looking, but she's well trained. It might take months to find her. Maybe that's okay, Anita said quietly. Maybe letting her go is part of leaving that life behind. He looked at her sharply. She tried to destroy us. She manipulated you, endangered you, nearly got you killed. You want me to just let that go? I want you to prioritize our future over revenge. She met his gaze steadily. I want you to choose healing over hunting. If she surfaces and becomes a real threat, fine, we deal with it. But actively pursuing her? That keeps you connected to the violence. That keeps you in the mindset you're trying to leave. Minute Hugh was silent for a long moment. Then he exhaled slowly. You're right. I hate it, but you're right. I usually am. Get used to it. That earned her a small smile. Noted. The Mercedes pulled up to the penthouse building. Anita stared up at the sleek tower, remembering the first time she'd seen it. She'd felt like a prisoner being taken to her cell. Now it just looked like a building. Expensive and intimidating, but just a building. The elevator ride to the top floor was quiet. Minute Hugh kept his arm around her waist, supporting her even though she didn't really need it anymore. When the doors opened directly into the penthouse, Anita stepped inside and took a deep breath. Home, she said, testing the word. Home, Minute Hugh echoed. What do you want to change first? Anita looked around the sterile, modern space. Everything was black, white, and chrome. Beautiful but cold. Like a magazine spread rather than a place where people actually lived. Everything, she decided. We're adding color. Warmth. Personality. This place needs to feel lived in, not staged. I'll call a decorator. No. We do it ourselves. She turned to face him. This is our home, Hugh. We should make it ours, not hire someone to do it for us. Even if we make terrible choices and it ends up looking ridiculous. He smiled, genuine and warm. Terrible choices it is, then. Where do we start? Kitchen. If you're going to learn to cook, we need a kitchen that doesn't look like a surgical suite. She walked toward the gleaming chrome and marble space. We need warmth here. Wood countertops maybe. Plants. Actual signs that humans use this space. Plants die when I look at them. Then we'll get succulents. Even you can't kill a succulent. She opened the massive refrigerator, finding it nearly empty except for bottled water and some takeout containers. We also need actual food. Real ingredients. Tomorrow we're going grocery shopping. I have people who can. No. She closed the fridge and faced him. No more people doing everything for us. We're building a normal life, remember? Normal people go to grocery stores. Normal people cook their own food, even if it's terrible at first. Normal people make their home themselves. Hugh studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Okay. We'll go grocery shopping tomorrow. Fair warning, I have no idea what to buy. Good thing I do. And it'll be fun watching you navigate a grocery store. I bet you've never pushed a shopping cart in your life. I've pushed many carts. Just usually full of money or weapons. Not the same. She laughed, the sound surprising them both. When had she last laughed like that? Free and easy and genuinely amused. Oh, this is going to be entertaining. He pulled her close, careful of her shoulder. I like hearing you laugh. I want to make you laugh every day. Then prepare for humiliation at the grocery store. Because I have a feeling you're going to be very confused by the produce section. I'll manage. He kissed her forehead. For you, I'll figure out grocery stores and cooking and decorating and all the normal things I've never had to think about. Because you're right. We need normal. We deserve normal. We do. Anita yawned suddenly, exhaustion hitting her. But first, I need sleep. Real sleep in a real bed, not a hospital bed with nurses checking on me every 2 hours. Our room or separate rooms? He asked it casually, but she heard the underlying tension. Our room, she said firmly. I'm done with separate rooms. We're in this together, remember? That includes sleeping in the same bed. Relief flooded his face. I'll carry you. I can walk, Hugh. I was shot in the shoulder, not the legs. But she let him support her anyway as they made their way to the master bedroom. The room was as sterile as the rest of the penthouse. All black and white, huge windows overlooking Seoul, a massive bed that looked like it belonged in a hotel rather than a home. Anita made a mental note to add this room to the redecoration list. But when she sank into the bed, exhaustion overrode her decorating concerns. The mattress was perfect, the sheets soft, and most importantly, Hugh settled beside her with careful gentleness. I'm going to hold you, he warned. I need to know you're here. That you're real. Is that okay? More than okay. She curled into his side, resting her head on his chest where she could hear his heartbeat. I need it too. His arms came around her, secure and warm. For a few minutes they just lay there, breathing together, adjusting to this new reality. Anita. His voice was soft in the darkness. Thank you. For what? For staying. For giving me a chance to be better. For loving me despite everything I've done. His hand stroked her hair gently. For choosing me. She pressed a kiss to his chest, right over his heart. Thank you for letting me in. For trying. For being brave enough to change. Another kiss. For choosing us over your empire. Always, he murmured. I'll always choose you. Both of you. His hand moved to rest on her belly, and Anita covered it with hers. Their child, growing safe between them. A symbol of everything they were building together. We're going to be okay, she whispered. We're going to be better than okay, he corrected. We're going to be happy. Messy and complicated and perfectly imperfect, but happy. Anita smiled into the darkness. I love you. I love you too. His arms tightened fractionally. Sleep now. I'll watch over you. You need sleep too. I will. Eventually. Right now I just want to hold you and remember what it feels like to have everything that matters safe in my arms. She wanted to argue, but exhaustion was pulling her under. The steady beat of his heart, the warmth of his body, the security of his embrace, it all combined to make her feel safer than she had in months. As she drifted off, her last thought was that this was what home felt like. Not a place, but a person. Not perfection, but presence. Not a cage, but a choice freely made. And for the first time since the night Minute Hugh had forced her into marriage, Anita fell asleep with a smile on her face and peace in her heart. Tomorrow they'd start building their new life. Tomorrow there would be challenges and adjustments and probably arguments about paint colors and grocery shopping. But tonight, they had this. Each other. Their baby. Their choice to try. It was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The grocery store was a disaster. Anita pushed the cart through the produce section, trying not to laugh as Minute Hugh stared at a display of vegetables like they were explosive devices requiring careful disarmament. It's just lettuce, she said. There are 12 different types of lettuce. He picked up something leafy and green, examining it with intense suspicion. How is anyone supposed to know which one to buy? You pick the one that looks freshest and isn't wilted. Anita selected a head of romaine and placed it in the cart. See? Not complicated. Everything in my world had clear hierarchies and rules. You pointed at someone, they died. Simple. This. He gestured at the overwhelming abundance of produce. This is chaos. Welcome to normal life, where the biggest decision is romaine versus iceberg. She handed him a bag. Here, make yourself useful. Pick out some tomatoes. He approached the tomato display like it was a tactical operation, examining each one with the same focus he probably used to plan criminal enterprises. An elderly woman gave him a strange look as he sniffed a tomato and then gently squeezed it. What are you doing? Anita whispered. Research. The pregnancy book said fresh vegetables are important for fetal development. I'm ensuring quality control. You're terrorizing tomatoes. I'm being thorough. But he smiled as he placed 6 perfect tomatoes in the bag. How did I do? Excellent work, soldier. Now we need onions, peppers, and garlic. They spent the next hour navigating the store. Minute Hugh asked questions about everything, from the difference between organic and conventional to why there were so many types of milk. Other shoppers gave them curious looks, this expensive-looking man in designer clothes pushing a cart with intense concentration while a pregnant woman in comfortable sweats directed him like a general commanding troops. At one point, an older Korean woman approached them in the dairy aisle. Your husband looks very dedicated, she said to Anita in accented English, nodding approvingly at Minute Hugh, who was reading the ingredients on a yogurt container with furrowed concentration. His learning, Anita replied, unable to keep the fondness from her voice. That's good. My husband never set foot in a grocery store our entire marriage. You're lucky. The woman smiled at them both before moving on. Minute Hugh looked up from the yogurt. What did she say? That I'm lucky. She's wrong. I'm the lucky one. He added 3 yogurt containers to the cart. These have the probiotics you need for digestion during pregnancy. You actually read that book. I read all of them. Twice. He moved to the next section. Did you know your body is going to produce 50% more blood volume? And that you'll need an additional 300 calories per day, but not until the second trimester? The first trimester is actually the same caloric requirement as pre-pregnancy, but with increased nutritional density. Anita stared at him. You memorized pregnancy facts. Of course I did. How else am I supposed to take care of you properly? He said it like it was obvious, like memorizing medical textbooks was a normal thing expectant fathers did. Hugh, most men don't even know what trimester their partner is in. Then most men are failing. He grabbed a carton of eggs, checking each one for cracks with meticulous care. You're growing as a human. Our human. That's the most important mission I've ever had. Why wouldn't I study everything about it? Something warm and overwhelming bloomed in Anita's chest. This man, this former mafia boss who'd spent years dealing death and violence, was standing in a grocery store reading egg cartons and memorizing pregnancy nutrition facts. I really love you, she said. He looked up, surprise flickering across his face. Then that rare, genuine smile that transformed him completely. Good. Because you're stuck with me now. He leaned over the cart to kiss her, gentle and sweet. I love you too. Even if you do make me navigate this terrifying maze of food options. Wait until we get to the checkout. That's where things get really wild. The checkout was indeed overwhelming for Minute Hugh. He watched the cashier scan items with fascination, then seemed genuinely confused when she asked if he wanted to pay with card or cash. I usually have people handle money, he admitted quietly to Anita. Then today you learn. She nudged him forward. Card is fine. Just insert it in the reader. He fumbled with his wallet, pulled out a black card Anita suspected had an astronomical limit, and managed to complete the transaction with only minor difficulty. The cashier smiled at them warmly. Your husband is very sweet, she said to Anita while bagging groceries. My boyfriend won't even come to the store with me. He's having a learning experience, Anita replied diplomatically. As they loaded bags into the Mercedes, Minute Hugh's driver looking bemused at the domestic scene, Minute Hugh turned to Anita with an expression of exhausted triumph. I did it. I successfully purchased food. You did. I'm very proud. She patted his arm mockingly. Gold star for you. Mock all you want. That was harder than negotiating territorial agreements with the Buzan families. But he was grinning as he settled into the back seat beside her. Though I admit, the stakes were lower. No one threatens to shoot you over tomato selection. Give it time. You haven't seen me when someone takes the last good avocado. They spent the afternoon in the penthouse kitchen, Anita teaching Minute Hugh basic cooking skills. He approached it with the same intensity he brought to everything, taking notes on his phone and asking detailed questions about temperature control and timing. Cooking is just chemistry, she explained, showing him how to properly dice an onion without crying. Once you understand the principles, it becomes intuitive. I'm better with physics. Applied force, trajectories, impact points. He watched her hands carefully, then tried to replicate her movements. His dice were uneven and hesitant, but he was trying. Different skill set. She covered his hands with hers, guiding them. Relax. You're gripping the knife like you're about to stab someone. That's typically how I use knives. Well, now you're using them to make dinner. Much less violent, slightly more rewarding. She stepped back, watching him work. Better. Keep practicing. They made jollof rice together, Anita walking him through each step while he followed instructions with absolute focus. He burned the first batch, under-seasoned the second, but the third attempt was actually edible. It's not as good as yours, he said, tasting it critically. It's your first real try. And honestly, it's pretty decent. Anita took another bite. The flavors are balanced, and the rice is cooked properly. You just need practice. Pride flickered across his face. So I didn't completely fail. You succeeded. Welcome to cooking, where failure is just part of learning. She kissed his cheek. I'm impressed. Most people give up after the first burned batch. I don't give up on things that matter. His hand found her belly again, that protective gesture that was becoming a habit. This matters. Being able to take care of you both matters. If that means learning to cook and grocery shop and do normal domestic things, then I'll learn. You know what else matters? Anita said, leaning against the counter. Talking. Really talking. We've been so focused on practical things, but we need to discuss the hard stuff too. His expression shuttered slightly. What hard stuff? Your nightmares. The PTSD Dr. Choi mentioned. Your past. She held up a hand when he started to protest. I'm not asking for a detailed breakdown of every violent thing you've done. But I need to understand what triggers you. What helps. How to support you when you're struggling. Minute Hugh was quiet for a long moment, staring down at the rice cooling on the stove. I don't want to burden you with that darkness. It's not a burden if we're partners. Partners share the weight. She moved closer, taking his hand. Tell me about the nightmares. When did they start? He exhaled slowly. After my brother died. I dream about finding him. The warehouse where they killed him. There was so much blood. His voice went distant. I couldn't save him. I was too late. And in the dreams, I'm always too late. Running but never fast enough. Reaching but never close enough. How often? A few times a week. Sometimes more if things are stressful. His jaw clenched. I wake up violent sometimes. Disoriented. I've punched walls, thrown things. That's why I had you sleep in a separate room before. I was afraid I'd hurt you. And now I'm more afraid of not having you close. He met her eyes. But you need to know, if I have an episode, you need to keep your distance until I'm fully awake. Talk to me but don't touch me. I can't always tell reality from a dream immediately. Okay. I can do that. Anita filed the information away. What helps? After the nightmares? Honestly, nothing really helped before. I just wait them out. But the night I came to your room, the anniversary of his death, you helped. Just being there. Being real and warm and alive. It grounded me. Then that's what I'll do. Ground you. Remind you where you are, who you're with. She squeezed his hand. We'll figure out the rest in therapy. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple. But it's manageable. One day at a time, one nightmare at a time. She pulled him down to kiss her forehead. You're not alone in this anymore, Hugh. That's what together means. The good parts and the hard parts. He held her for a long moment, just breathing. I don't deserve you. Stop saying that. You chose to change. You chose to get out. You chose us. That's what you deserve credit for, the choice to be better. She pulled back to look at him. Now, let's eat this rice you worked so hard on before it gets cold. They ate dinner at the kitchen island instead of the formal dining room, sitting close with their knees touching. Minute Hugh asked questions about her family in Lagos, her childhood, and her path to becoming a doctor. Anita shared stories about her mother's cooking, her father's terrible jokes, growing up between Nigerian and British cultures. They'll want to meet you eventually, she said. Really meet you, not the threatening phone call version. I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Your father probably wants to kill me. Probably. But he'll get over it when he sees you're actually trying to be a good husband. And when the baby comes, he'll be too busy being a grandfather to hold grudges. She smiled. My mother will love you. She always wanted me to marry someone who could cook. I can barely cook. And only because you're teaching me. Close enough. You're trying, that's what matters to her. Anita's phone buzzed with a message. She glanced at it and frowned. What's wrong? Minute Hugh asked immediately, tension flooding back into his shoulders. Nothing wrong. Just Dr. Choi confirming our first therapy session tomorrow. She showed him the message. Are you still good with this? Yes. Nervous, but good. He stood to clear their plates. I've never talked to anyone about my brother. About what that life did to me. It feels vulnerable in a way that fighting never did. Vulnerability is strength, not weakness. It takes more courage to open up than to shut down. Anita watched him load the dishwasher, movements careful and deliberate. Plus, you won't be alone. I'll be there for the couples sessions. What if she thinks I'm beyond help? What if there's no fixing what I've become? Then we work with what we have and build from there. But I don't think you're beyond help, Hugh. Damaged doesn't mean destroyed. She came up behind him, wrapping her arms around his waist. You're already changing. Learning to cook, going to grocery stores, talking about your nightmares. That's progress. He turned in her arms, pulling her close. When did you become so wise? Medical school. They sneak wisdom in between the anatomy lessons. She rested her head against his chest. Actually, my mom taught me. She used to say that healing happens in layers, not all at once. You peel back one layer of hurt, deal with it, then move to the next. It takes time but it works. Your mother sounds remarkable. She is. You'll like her. She's tough but fair. Kind of like someone else I know. Anita yawned suddenly. Sorry, the baby is making me tired at random times. Then let's get you to bed. You need rest. He scooped her up before she could protest. Hugh, I can walk. I know. But I like carrying you. Indulge me. He carried her to their bedroom, setting her down gently on the bed. Do you need anything? Water? Snacks? More pillows? Just you. She patted the space beside her. And maybe we will start planning what we're going to do with this room. It's still too sterile. Minute Hugh settled beside her, pulling her back against his chest so they were spooning. What would you change? Color. Warmth. Maybe curtains instead of just blinds. Photos on the walls, Books on the nightstand. Things that make it feel lived in. She laced her fingers through his where they rested on her belly. We should put together a nursery too. The room next door would be perfect. A nursery. His voice went soft with wonder. Our baby's room. Start thinking about colors and themes. Nothing too gendered, but something warm and welcoming. She could feel him smiling against her hair. What? I'm just imagining it. Coming home to you and our child. Reading bedtime stories. Teaching them to walk. Normal dad things. His hand moved in gentle circles on her stomach. I never thought I'd have this. A family. A real family built on love instead of obligation and fear. You have it now. We both do. Anita brought his hand to her lips, kissing his knuckles. And in about 6 months, it's going to get a lot louder and more chaotic. I can't wait. He pressed a kiss to her shoulder. Though I'm terrified. What if I'm terrible at being a father? What if I mess them up? Then you'll be like every other parent in the world, terrified and trying their best. She shifted to face him. Hugh, you've already proven you can change. You've already chosen love over violence, growth over stagnation. Those are the foundations of good parenting right there. I hope you're right. I am. Trust me, I'm a doctor. She kissed him softly. Now let me sleep. Between you and this baby, I'm exhausted. He chuckled, tucking her head under his chin. Sleep. I'll be here. Always. Always. Anita drifted off to the sound of his heartbeat and the warmth of his arms. No nightmares haunted her sleep. Just dreams of a future they were building together, one grocery trip and cooking lesson and vulnerable conversation at a time. The next morning brought their first therapy session. Dr. Choi's office was warm and inviting, nothing like the clinical hospital rooms. Soft lighting, comfortable furniture, plants in the corners. Anita relaxed slightly as they settled on the couch together. Dr. Choi smiled at them both. Thank you for coming. I know this is uncomfortable, especially for you, Minute Hugh. Taking this step shows real courage. Anita made it a condition of our relationship, he said bluntly. But I'm here willingly. I want to be better. For her, for our child, for myself. That's an excellent starting point. Dr. Choi pulled out a tablet. Let's begin with some basics. Anita, can you describe the current state of your relationship? Anita thought carefully. Complicated but hopeful. We've been through significant trauma individually and together. But we're committed to healing and building something healthy. It's messy and we're still figuring things out, but we're trying. And Minute Hugh, your perspective? She's the best thing that ever happened to me and I'm terrified I'll ruin it. He said it simply, without artifice. I come from a world where love is weakness and vulnerability is dangerous. I'm trying to unlearn that, but it's hard. My instinct is still to control and protect and push people away when I care too much. Can you give me an example? He glanced at Anita. 3 days ago, I tried to send her away. Told her she'd be safer without me, that I'd arrange everything so she'd never have to see me again. I thought I was protecting her. But really I was protecting myself from the fear of losing her. What changed your mind? She called me out. Told me I was running, that I didn't get to make that decision for her. She chose me, and I had to choose to trust that choice. His hand found Anita's. It went against every instinct I have. But she was right. Dr. Choi nodded, making notes. Anita, how did you feel at that moment? Frustrated. Hurt. But also understanding because I'd done the same thing when I ran away. Anita squeezed Minute Hugh's hand. We're both learning that love requires vulnerability and trust, not just protection and control. It's hard for both of us but we're trying. They spent the rest of the hour discussing communication patterns, triggers, and healthy ways to navigate conflict. Dr. Choi gave them homework, exercises to practice active listening and emotional regulation. As they left the office, Minute Hugh seemed thoughtful. That wasn't as terrible as I expected. Were you expecting torture? Maybe a little. He helped her into the car. But it was just talking. Honest talking. I can do that. You're doing it already. Anita settled against his side as the car pulled into traffic. I'm proud of you. Don't be proud yet. Wait until I actually make progress. You're making progress by showing up. By being willing to be vulnerable. That's huge, Hugh. She kissed his jaw. Give yourself some credit. He was quiet for a moment. Then, my brother would have liked you. He always said I needed someone who wouldn't take my bullshit. Someone strong enough to call me out. Tell me about him. The real him, not just the tragedy. And Hugh did. For the rest of the drive, he shared stories about his brother. Their childhood, the stupid risks they took, the way his brother always tried to find peaceful solutions while Hugh favored force. They got drunk and sang karaoke until 3 in the morning. The way his brother always knew when Hugh was struggling even when he tried to hide it. By the time they reached the penthouse, Anita had a clear picture of the person Hugh had lost. And she understood better why his death had broken something fundamental in him. He sounds wonderful, she said as they rode the elevator up. I wish I could have met him. He would have loved you. Probably would have tried to convince you to run from me for your own good. Hugh smiled sadly. He was the better man. Always was. He was different. Not better, just different. You both had roles to play in your family. Anita took his hand. And he'd be proud of you now. Of the choice you're making to get out, to build something different. I hope so. The elevator doors opened. I hope wherever he is, he knows I'm trying. That I'm finally listening to all those lectures about finding a better path. They spent the rest of the day working on the penthouse, ordering paint samples and new furniture online. Hugh argued for subtle changes while Anita pushed for bolder colors and warmer textures. They compromised, finding middle ground that satisfied them both. That night, Hugh made dinner again. Stir-fry this time, vegetables slightly overcooked but seasoning much better. They ate together, talked about baby names, laughed over his confusion about pregnancy cravings. And when they went to bed, wrapped in each other's arms, Anita felt something she hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not perfect, not without concerns for the future, but real peace in the present moment. Hugh, she whispered into the darkness. Thank you for trying. For changing. For choosing this. His arms tightened around her. Thank you for seeing something worth saving in me. For not giving up even when I deserved it. We're going to make it, aren't we? This crazy, complicated life we're building. Yes. He pressed a kiss to her temple. We're going to make it. Together. And wrapped in his warmth, with their baby safe between them and a future full of possibilities ahead, Anita believed him. They would make it. Not perfectly, not without struggles, but they would make it. Together. If you've enjoyed this emotional journey of love, redemption, and second chances, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more compelling stories. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought about Anita and Hugh's journey. Should they have more challenges?